The words landed like a slap in a room already thick with fear. The operating theater lights were blazing, the heart monitor was screaming, and blood stained the gloves of everyone present. The surgeon's tone carried quiet arrogance as he dismissed the woman standing near the trauma bed, reducing her to a role he believed insignificant. No one noticed the barely conscious man on the table tightening his fingers, fighting through pain and fading strength, summoning the last of his breath to correct that mistake. In that fragile moment, everything was about to change, because the people in that room had no idea who she really was or what she had already survived. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of people the world often overlooks, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that truly need them. Her name was Hannah Brooks, and she had learned long ago how to become invisible. Growing up in rural Kentucky, she had watched her father return from military service with scars no one talked about and nightmares that never slept. When he passed away suddenly during her nursing school years, Hannah almost quit everything. But instead, she leaned into service, believing that helping others survive their worst moments was the only way she could make sense of her own grief. By the time she moved to San Diego, California, she was no longer a student, but a seasoned emergency nurse at a large military-affiliated hospital. She worked night shifts, took the hardest cases, and never complained. To most doctors, she was simply efficient, quiet, and replaceable. The night the wounded SEAL was rushed in began like any other shift, filled with sirens and controlled chaos. The patient, later identified as Michael Carter, had been injured during a classified training operation off the California coast. His injuries were severe, internal bleeding complicated by trauma that required immediate surgery. The surgical team assembled quickly, led by Dr. Robert Klein, a respected but notoriously dismissive trauma surgeon. He was known for brilliance under pressure and an ego to match. As the team prepared, Hannah noticed small details others missed: the irregular rhythm on the monitor, the subtle change in skin tone, the way Michael's breathing didn't match the chart notes. She spoke up, calmly suggesting adjustments, but her words were brushed aside. Inside Hannah, a familiar frustration burned. She had seen this pattern before, especially as a nurse who didn't fit the stereotype of loud confidence. Years earlier, she had volunteered overseas with humanitarian medical teams, often working alongside military medics in crisis zones. She had learned field medicine, rapid trauma response, and decision-making under fire. Those experiences were not listed in bold letters on her hospital badge, and she never mentioned them unless asked. She believed skill should speak for itself, even when no one listened. As the operation progressed, Michael's condition worsened. The room grew tense as complications stacked up faster than solutions. Hannah's focus narrowed, her mind running through possibilities. She adjusted equipment, stabilized vitals, and silently compensated for decisions she knew were slightly off. When Michael briefly regained consciousness, his eyes fluttered open, unfocused but searching. Through the haze of pain, he recognized her. Not from this hospital, but from a desert tent years ago where she had stitched his arm after an explosion during a joint training exercise. Back then, she had stayed awake for 48 hours straight, saving lives without praise or rank. In the present moment, with everything slipping away, he mustered a weak signal of awareness, trying to draw attention to her importance, to tell them she was not just a nurse. The shift in energy was subtle but undeniable. The surgical team slowed, reassessed, and finally began to notice that Hannah's instincts were keeping the patient alive. Dr. Klein, forced by circumstances to listen, allowed her to guide critical adjustments. What followed was not dramatic applause but quiet synchronization, the kind that only happens when survival becomes the sole priority. Hours later, Michael was stabilized. The crisis passed, leaving exhaustion and a heavy silence behind. In the days that followed, the truth unfolded. Michael recovered slowly, and word spread through the hospital about the nurse who had anticipated complications before they appeared on screens. Dr. Klein reviewed the case, humbled by how close he had come to losing a patient due to pride. He learned about Hannah's past service, her training, and the countless lives she had touched without recognition. For the first time, he saw her not as a title but as a professional whose value extended far beyond assumptions. Hannah never asked for acknowledgement. She returned to her shifts, still quiet, still steady. But something changed around her. Younger nurses sought her guidance. Doctors paused to ask her opinion. Respect, once withheld, became consistent. Michael, now recovering fully, requested to see her before his discharge. He wanted to thank her, not as a hero thanking a caregiver, but as one survivor recognizing another. Their shared understanding needed no words. As this story draws close, if it has touched your heart or reminded you of someone who works quietly behind the scenes, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement truly helps keep meaningful stories alive. And before the final moments, I have a special request. Please comment below with the name of someone you believe deserves recognition for their kindness or service. Let's honor them together. Hannah Brooks never became famous. Her story was not written in headlines or medals, but in one operating room in the United States, on a night when life almost slipped away, she was seen. She was proof that purpose does not need permission, and that sometimes the most powerful people in the room are the ones no one thinks to notice.